Utah Business is pleased to present the 2024 Outstanding Directors Awards, honoring seasoned leaders that are making an impact on the companies and boards they serve. Today's event is in partnership with the National Association of Corporate Directors, Utah chapter, and sponsored by Merit Medical and Webb. And now, please welcome the publisher of Utah Business, Burke Olson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Utah Business Outstanding Directors Award Luncheon in partnership with the Utah chapter of the National Association of Corporate Directors. My name is Burke Olson. I'm the publisher of the Deseret News and Utah Business, and I'm pleased to join with all of you to congratulate the 2024 Outstanding Director honorees. We've got a great lineup of people who are being awarded today, and also a fantastic group of people who've come out to support them. Thank you all for being here. Now, everyone in this room knows that we live in a unique state. There's a lot to love about living in Utah, and we keep receiving national accolades. Just last year, we were named the #1 state in the U.S., the very best of all the 50 Nifty. And among many businesses and economic designations that we received, we were also named in separate honors, the most charitable, most independent, and happiest state in the nation. The honorees that we celebrate today and the organizations that they support are key contributors to all of these recognitions. Over the last few years, I've begun my own board work, and I'm serving on a few local and national boards, and I'm learning so much as I look around the boardroom tables and observe women and men who know what it takes to make a meaningful contribution. I so admire those in this room who've been at this for years, and I very much look forward to hearing from them today. We offer our sincere gratitude to the NACD Utah chapter who collaborated with us on today's event. We truly appreciate our partnership with you. And on behalf of both Utah Business and NACD Utah, I express our sincere appreciation to the sponsors of this year's award luncheon. Thank you to Merit Medical and Webb, as well as to each of our table sponsors. We greatly appreciate all of your support, and we simply couldn't do what we do without you. Now, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our MC for today's program, my colleague, Utah Business Editor-in-Chief, Melanie Jones.
Thank you, Burke. We're so grateful you're here to help us celebrate these stars from the Utah business community. Here's a little bit about Utah Business. Utah Business fosters connection, insight, and recognition for Utah's thriving professional community. Through our events, magazine, and website, we highlight the ideas, innovations, and people behind Utah business success stories. We are all in on Utah, and we can't wait to tell your stories. Stories like the ones you'll hear today as we recognize 5 outstanding leaders and 2 entire boards whose mentorship, integrity, and wise governance have taken organizations in our state to the next level. We are here to honor those who have served as board members throughout our state, contributing their time, energy, and expertise so that corporations, governments, and nonprofits alike can benefit from the talents they have employed throughout their careers. Thank you for coming today and for celebrating these individuals with us. We hope that as we listen to their stories, a new generation of board members might be waiting in the wings, ready to make their own impact on the companies and organizations that inspire them, continuing the legacy of service that today's outstanding directors exemplify. Congratulations for being nominated and selected to all of our honorees today. We are very pleased to honor you. Founded in 1987, Merit Medical Systems is engaged in the development, manufacture, and distribution of proprietary disposable medical devices used in interventional, diagnostic, and therapeutic procedures, particularly in cardiology, radiology, oncology, critical care, and endoscopy. Merit serves client hospitals worldwide with a domestic and international sales force and clinical support team totaling more than 700 individuals. Merit employs approximately 7,000 people worldwide. Now, please give a warm welcome to Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Merit Medical, Fred Lampropoulos.
Okay, this is your first lesson in Greek, and that is Lampropolis, so I warned her in advance. I'll be very brief. I have been the CEO of Merit for 37 years, and prior to that, the CEO of Utah Medical for 7 years. 44 years of running a medical device company and all publicly held companies. It's been a pleasure to do so. I believe that I was called to do this. I often ask myself, why me? Of all the people in this state and in this country, why did I get to do this? And the answer is, I believe that it was my purpose in life. I could not have done this, and although she will often say I had nothing to do with it, I will tell you, and you all know this, that the key to being successful in anything in life is to be properly anchored and to have an advisor. My closest advisor is my wife, Anne Marie, and there really isn't anything I don't go to her for. There are a few things, but generally, and she will argue with me. She'll tell me where I'm wrong. She'll tell me what I should think about. She asks me what to consider. And sometimes we actually get sideways on those issues, but I always know I have a place to go. I also will just say that I think in terms of success in business, this board is the most interesting, diverse, educated, whether it be in cybersecurity, whether it be in banking and financial markets, whether it be in administrative, whether it be a number of areas, experience in the medical device area. They have been helpful to me along the way, and the board that we have today is the best board I've ever had. In fact, if there was one thing I learned probably later than I should have, is how important a board really is. And I wish I would have learned that earlier, but I try to remind my staff every day that when we walk in the office, we're doing something that we have never done before every single day. And of course, the people that really do the work is my staff. And these folks that I work with every day are dedicated. It's 24/7. Being a military officer, it's 24/7 anywhere on the planet, and the rules of the game are go anywhere under any conditions to accomplish the mission. That sounds a little rigorous, and it is, but it's what my expectation is, and they've always lived up to that. So I want to thank my staff. I want to thank members of the board. We have Scott, we have Len, and we have Ann here, so there's 4 of us out of the 10. We appreciate the honor, we appreciate being in your presence, and wish you all the very best. God bless you all. Thank you.
The National Association of Corporate Directors is the recognized authority for leading boardroom practices. With more than 23,000 members, 45 years of governance experience, and a vast portfolio of director resources, NACD strives to empower directors and transform boards to be future ready. I am now pleased to introduce you to Peggy Larson. Peggy Larson is a former senior vice president at WCF Insurance and president of the WCF Foundation and Univantage Insurance Solutions. She has been in the insurance industry for 50 years, owning her own agency, and has worked for many larger brokerages before landing at WCF. Peggy was with WCF for 25 years, where she managed the advertising, marketing, and sales operations. She sits on the WCF Board of Directors, NACD Utah Executive Board, as well as several nonprofit boards. Peggy is the author of a memoir, Beyond My Wildest, honoring her late daughter, Amber. She has received the Salt Lake Chamber Pathfinder and Athena Awards, as well as the South Valley Chamber Titan Award. Please welcome NACD Utah Executive Board Member and Chair of the Outstanding Directors Awards, Peggy Larson.
Thank you so much, Melanie. It's great to be here with all of you to celebrate these outstanding directors. I'm delighted to be able to represent the Utah chapter of NACD. NACD is proud to partner with Utah Business to recognize some of the area's most accomplished corporate directors. I think we have an especially strong group of honorees this year. As Melanie mentioned, NACD is the US's leading authority for improving board governance, board performance, with more than 23,000 members. NACD has been setting the standard for responsible board leadership for more than 45 years. The Utah chapter is one of 22 chapters across the country. We were first organized in 2003, and our chapter's mission is to elevate board performance by providing local board members with practical tools through world-class education, leading-edge research, and a growing network of director peers. The job of a board member is to look out for the best interests of the corporation, whether it be public, private, or nonprofit, and to represent the owners and stakeholders. The job of the board of directors has certainly taken on a great significance and more important role in recent years. Boards are at the forefront in today's business climate, which places much greater emphasis on accountability. In addition to the board's traditional responsibilities, boards today are held accountable for many environmental, social, and governance issues. Although boards make leadership decisions based on what is in the collective best interest of the corporation, the lifeblood of a board excellence is the individual. The individual director's personal integrity, capabilities, intellectual curiosity, emotional intelligence, and ability to contribute in a constructive and collaborative way is what makes good boards great. In today's business environment, ideal directors are smart, savvy, and experienced. They are top-tier leaders who understand the critical role that they play and willing to make tough decisions. I'd like to take a minute to recognize the members of the NACD Utah chapter board who are here today. They're certainly strong business leaders who have all the qualities of excellent directors. Please stand and be recognized. A huge thank you to our partner, Utah Business, as well as the other sponsors of our event today. And last but not least, a special shout out to the awards committee. Lynette and Melanie of Utah Business and NACD's Executive Director, Heather May, I'd like to thank them for all of their hard work in making today's luncheon happen. As I said, yes. As I said earlier, we have an amazing group of honorees this year. They represent the highest ideas in business and board performance. They've all worked hard in their business careers to enrich their businesses, the boards they represent, and our community as a whole. Our 2024 outstanding directors are Gary Crittenden for a Lifetime Achievement, Dallas Bradford, Private Company, Heather Zynczak, Public Company, Lew Cramer, Nonprofit, Ryan Sanders, Venture Capital, and this year, for the very first time, we have 2 awards for full boards. Merit Medical is the first recipient of the Full Board of Directors Awards, as is YWCA for a nonprofit board. I would now like to invite Deborah Bale, a past chair of our NACD Utah chapter board, to join me on stage to help present the awards to our recipients. Thank you so much.
We are now pleased to move to the recognition part of today's program, where we will learn a little more about each of our honorees. Our first honoree that we would like to recognize this afternoon is our honoree in the public company category. If you would, please turn your attention to the video screens.
You walk a fine balance as a board member with coming in and making sure you always have the shareholders' best interests at heart, but also really helping the operators to operate without stepping too much in their business. I sit on several of the nomination and governance committees at different boards that I'm on, and we look for new board members. That's one of the key things, and we really assess the skill set of different board member candidates to make sure we're bringing on skills we don't have. So if we really would like more oversight on product leadership, or if we'd like more insight in the boardroom on strong sales teams, or if we'd like more insight in the boardroom on different cybersecurity, you look for experts in those areas to bring it on. And the governance committee is responsible for assigning members to the board. And I've seen with bringing on those skill sets really truly help the operators of the company, the C-level execs, because then you have that expertise in the room. You have someone on speed dial that knows a ton about an area where maybe the company is struggling. My first boards were private companies. And what I wish I would have known then is that you're giving your time and you're there for the management team. So really form strong relationships with the CEO, with the rest of the C-suite. Be there to help them. If I could go back and say, form those relationships as tightly as you can, because that's really who you're in the room for.
Please join me in welcoming Heather Zynczak, our public board honoree, to the stage.
So first, I'm so honored, thank you, and I'm humbled when I look at the other people who are in this category. Before I was ever a board member, I served as an executive where Gary Crittenden was on our board, and he is the model of what a board member should be. And Ryan Sanders gave me my very first board opportunity 7 years ago and has been a mentor to me. So I feel very humbled to be in this group. And I want to take 1 minute and talk a little bit about board diversity of thought. So in my experience, every team I've been on, whether it was a leadership team or a board team, if you had different opinions, diversity of thought, you had a better outcome. And if you don't believe me, there's statistics and things that can show you that companies' EPS is higher when they have more diverse boards. Their M&A multiples are higher when they get purchased if they have more diverse boards. And I really think striving for diversity of thought. And so when my whole career, starting out my very first job, I was a girl coding in a room with a whole bunch of dudes, all the way to being a vice president at a Fortune 500 in the product team, being one of 2 women amongst 100 male vice presidents, to being on leadership teams where I was one of 2 women in the executive room. And the board for me, when I looked at doing board work, was the next frontier. Because I really believe you can't be what you can't see. And so I love that the 2 women up here today with the NACD, that it's 2 women. That just made my heart warm, so thank you. But I would say for everybody out there, it's ironic that the video they chose talked about my work on the nomination and governance committees. But everybody out there, whether you're a CEO and founder in the room, or you're a board member that helps pull new board members in, or you're venture capital, I strongly encourage you to think about diversity of thought. And then the last thing I want to say, I feel like this is kind of like an Oscar speech, and there's going to be music in a minute, but and this is something I've never done before, and Aaron Sconard, who's in the room, can back me up on this because he's seen me speak at a lot of things. I want to take a minute and thank my husband. So my husband, Jay, is the very tall, dark, and handsome man back at the table back there. And we were just on a trip with our 3 teenage sons, and we told them the most important, we had these fun conversations every night at dinner. And one night we were in this silly conversation about their girlfriends and dating and silliness. But I got very serious, and I told them the most important decision you will make in your life is not your job, not where you live, not what college you go to. And they were like, what? They couldn't believe any of this. It's who you pick as your partner. and it will impact you more than anything else you do. And I just want to say thank you to Jay, because he has supported me, put up with me, encouraged me, been proud of me, gone to events like this with me so many times, and it's why I've been able to do what I've been able to do. So for those of you that have children or grandchildren, and especially daughters and granddaughters, let them know that that's by far the most important decision they're going to make in their life, because it has been for me. So thank you, Jay. Thank you.
Was appointed to the WCF board by Governor Mike Leavitt. I knew very little about insurance. Over the past 20 plus years, I've had a real awakening as to what the insurance industry is all about. I wish I would have known 20 years ago what I know now about how an insurance company operates and what is all involved in the insurance business. Perhaps the biggest challenge that we have had as a company is twofold. One was to separate from the state as a state agency, and the second was to become a taxable entity serving multiple jurisdictions, states, and with multiple insurance products. Those two issues are perhaps the primary and the major issues affecting our company, where the board and management have had to work together to come to a strategy as to how to implement those two decisions. The single best advice I can give to a director who's serving for the first time is to maintain your integrity. Never sacrifice that which you believe in for the sake of going along with the crowd.
Please welcome to the stage, representing private companies from WCF Insurance, their chairman and board of directors, Dallas Bradford.
Thank you very much. This is an honor more directed to others than purely to me. But I do have a couple of suggestions for those of you who are here in this room that I have learned over my years of being here in Utah and being a part of this incredible business community. One is, and it's something that I learned early in my career, get involved and be accountable. I'm grateful for my colleagues and partners at Arthur Andersen, who many, many years ago encouraged me and allowed me to give back to this marvelous community in which we live in and which we serve. I'm grateful for the Utah Association of CPAs for allowing me to help build the CPA profession in this state in the early years of our prominence here in the state of Utah. And I thank my good friend for more years than she would like to admit, Peggy Larson and Val Ovison and Debbie Bale and the entire NACD selection committee for selecting me for this recognition. I treasure those men and women as close friends. And I particularly want to also thank Lane Summerhays and Ray Pickup and Matt Owen and the incredible board with whom I serve at WCF and the management team at WCF with whom I'm privileged to serve. These are men and women whom I admire and respect very, very deeply. And then most especially, I want to thank Margie and my children, without whose sacrifice and support none of this would ever have been possible, for us to be able to give back to the community and to get involved and to be accountable. And finally, my second suggestion for all of you who are starting your business careers or in the middle of those careers, I have a suggestion for each of us. And this suggestion comes from a very unlikely source that my kids cannot believe that I would ever quote. They would never even believe that I even knew who he was. And that is from Bob Marley. And quite candidly, I'm surprised it comes from him, but it has been, I think, the hallmark of what I would like to recommend to each of us. He said, "The greatness of a man is not how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively." Ladies and gentlemen, may I suggest to each of us that that is the one thing that will differentiate us from all of our peers and associates. And I believe it's one of the reasons why we are recognized as one of the great states in this union, is because of the integrity of people like you. And finally, and in closing, I would like to quote from a source that my kids will be able to relate that I might quote from, and that's from Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn said, "You can tell more about a person by what he says about others than what you can by what others say about him." I would hope and pray, my friends, that this would be my legacy for my family and for this business community that I have come to love and admire so much, that it means so much to me, that you would be able to tell more about Dallas Bradford from what he says about others than from what others say about Dallas Bradford. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be with you today.
There are so many opportunities in Utah now. If you're going to invest anywhere in the world, you want to be in America. If you're in America, you want to be in the West. If you're in the West, you want to be in Utah. And being a small part of that has been a huge blessing in my life. And working with visionary people has been terrific. When I was in the Army, I had a general who said, "All of us together are smarter than any one of us alone." And that's what's happened at the World Trade Center. It's happened at Collier's. It's happened anywhere in Utah right now. And where would you rather be than this great state? And believe very strongly in collaboration, cooperation, and communication makes things happen. President Reagan always said, we need to communicate to build consent. And I have wonderful leaders. I've been in the right place at the right time with the right people, and it has changed my life, and I will always be grateful for these blessings. The harder you work, the luckier you get, and we've been able in this great state to work together. I want to see us together as a unified, collaborative, innovative state go forward to lead the country, because no time like now that needs it as much as this current moment.
Please welcome to the stage Lew Cramer, who is being recognized for his service on the board of World Trade Center Utah. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Colliers, Utah.
Thank you so much. What an honor to be here. I think I said everything I had to say in that video. So save some time because it is an honor to be in the state of Utah. It is great to be part of the World Trade Center Utah board. Of course, when your chairman is Scott Anderson, Jack Sunderledge, and now John Huntsman, you just kind of show up and the board looks really good. So thank you for all that accumulated credit that I don't deserve. I am, though, getting some credit for my wife and I recently celebrated 50 happy years of marriage, and I immediately signed up for another 50. So far, so good. Thank you, Barb. May I just say that America cannot retreat back into its own borders, and Utah has been so blessed by international business. In the many years that I've had the pleasure of working with the World Trade Center Utah, as much as 20% of the output every year in this state has some international aspects of it. And it's an honor also to be here with some of my successors at the World Trade Center Utah, including Derek Miller, Miles Hansen, who's somewhere on the high seas, and Jonathan Friedman, who has just sent me an email from the Bosporus Straits in Turkey. So we're out there being international. So don't believe anybody who tells you that it's not important to stay engaged globally in this country and in this state. We talk about Utah being the crossroads of the West. We are committed at the World Trade Center to make that the crossroads of the world, and it's really happening. I'm so grateful for this honor. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here with my partners from Colliers. I have the most extraordinary business partner in the world in Brandon Fugel, the most interesting man I have ever met, and the most talented, articulate, and everything else that goes with that. And we're also here with our new managing director, Jeanette Bennett, and some of my partners as well. What we say about Utah on every level is accurate. If you want to be active in this country, you ought to be in Utah. And it's fun to be part of that from the World Trade Center, from the commercial real estate side, from all this wise counsel from the other honorees. I've been writing some quick notes here. And I can't wait to hear what Gary Crittenden says. He's my neighbor and dear friend, and we learn from every one of them. I will repeat the counsel that was in my video. I didn't know what was going to be left in that taping, but as a young Army officer, an old general said to us, all of us together are smarter than any one of us alone. And that's what made a board great. It makes Utah great, makes this country great. So thank you for the honor for being part of this. To again quote my talented partner, Brandon Fugel, you ain't seen nothing yet. We're just getting warmed up, and we're doing it for the children and the grandchildren. Thank you so much. Go Utah, go global.
The very best board members bring active engagement. They don't stand on the periphery looking in. They're actively engaged in helping the CEO to be able to set the strategic direction. In fact, to surround the CEO with the very best creative ideas in order to help him or her see around the proverbial corners. To be successful, it means giving the CEO the ability to run and to move the business forward. In these cases, the board stands at the ready with strategic ambitions and strategic ideas to help them govern with very best practices. The boards that reflect a rich diversity of thought, of background, of experience, of education, of geography, of gender, tend to produce the most innovative and excellent solutions. The best advice I could give somebody embarking on their first board is to be active and to be prepared. There is no better place to put yourself in than to be able to respond. It's not if change happens, it's when. The very best board members come prepared, not only have read the materials, but have studied the industry, have understood the customers, have a deep understanding of the product. In all of those cases, the CEO can lean on the board for advice and to help him or her be able to make the very best decisions. And they stand as the opportunity to assess risk and return. Active engagement is the very best advice I could give any new board member.
Please welcome to the stage Ryan Sanders, our venture capital honoree and managing partner with Mercado Partners.
I get so serious when somebody puts a camera and asks questions. It's unusual for me. It's a privilege to be here today. As I thought about the word award, I thought about heroes. And when I was young, I covered, probably to my parents' dislike, all of my walls and my ceiling with posters. And I'm sure all of them were sports stars. And if you would have asked me, I would have told you they were my heroes. Decades later, it's probably been proved that they weren't true heroes, or at least not in the lasting sense. Scandals, PEDs, divorces, affairs. But instead, I would tell you that I have heroes here in this room. Today, we have an opportunity to honor those whose vision and governance steers opportunities in institutions. I think I have the best job. I get to have an opportunity to raise money from entities like YWCA as a partner, and I get a chance to invest it in entrepreneurs like Brock and Ben and JD and Jed. And so I first would love to recognize a unique breed of individuals, which are the entrepreneurs. To me, these are entrepreneurs, these are pioneers whose creativity and courage to not only imagine what could be, but to manifest it. They are the architects of the American dream. They weave innovation and resilience into the very fabric of our country. And so I would tell you that I'm grateful for these daring entrepreneurs whose stories and struggles inspire my support, my advocacy, and in fact, my partnership. I'm also reminded that heroes in my own journey have been people who have shaped my life and my career, and these are the lasting examples. Gary Crittenden is a lifelong family friend and someone whose words and successes have inspired me with what I've seen from him both at work and at home. Heather Zynczak is a favorite fellow board member. She brings her talents and her experiences to share. Highlights, underlines, markups, and dog-eared board decks were evidence of her preparation. My mentor, my colleagues, and my friends at Mercado, whose dedication shapes our vision and whose patience and backing helps me to do my very best work. And I would say, finally, and most importantly, to my wife and my 4 sons. I only get emotional if it's about my family. They love me, and they're my foundation that allows me long hours and furrowed brows. I owe you all my deepest and sincere gratitude. You all embody the sense of true partnership and what collective excellence embodies. The role of a board member, the earliest roots of corporate board governance can probably be found in medieval times, where merchants and traders got together to form partnerships, and they shared in the risks and in the profits. It's probably the first example of corporate board governance, meaning that there was a group of individuals who were responsible for making collective decisions and assessing the overall health of an organization. A board's influence can extend far beyond the boardroom. I've seen the most effective board members who can shape culture, can uphold value, and can drive ethical growth. They do not only steer the ship, they chart the course for future generations, ensuring that enterprises not only perform, but inspire. I firmly believe that most people decide to join boards because they sincerely want to do more, give back, and they are willing to volunteer their time with others to make the world a better place. What's better than that? So my advocacy here would be to encourage all of you to find a place where you can give back, on a board or on a future board, but also to look for the real heroes, the lasting influences, those who embody the principles of courage, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. To me, that is the way that great boards can be built, not just who are effective, but are exemplary. Thank you.
First-time director, I think, first of all, needs to come in and listen. What's going on? What's happening? Spend time to go get to know the business, get to know the executive leadership of the business, read all the reports about the business, so you really have a comprehensive understanding. And I think if you start by listening, then you're going to be able then to contribute better, faster.
It's great to have a board that's independent and experienced and that comes together when there's an issue and partners with management to find a solution.
But it needs to be grounded in really understanding the business and what it's all about. And you want to make sure that you're providing your advice, your expertise, but at a governance level, not at a management level.
Well, I think when you look for a board member, there are several things that you need to look for. One, you want to look for diversity. And this diversity, I think, is a broader issue than just gender or ethnic background, although it's certainly part of it. What you want is to get a group of people there that are independent thinkers who have strategic ideas of how things should go.
Get to know them, their expertise, and make sure that you're all working together in the right way that can contribute positively to the culture of that company.
Join me in congratulating the Merit Medical Board and welcome to the stage board members Scott Anderson, Lynn Ward, and Ann Milner.
So you've already heard from me. However, Scott Anderson is retiring from our board this year. He was formerly our lead director. So Scott, I know you're not expecting this, but you now have the microphone. I'm still the chair.
Well, this is a great honor to be recognized as part of the Merit board. Merit is a remarkable company. It's an international company. It provides jobs and life-saving products for people around the world. And so it's an honor to serve on the board, and it's an honor to serve with Ann, our lead director, with Fred, our chair, with Lynn, the director of our audit committee, and another 7 remarkable people. So thank you very much.
No, but they're not standing up, so that means... Okay. Ann Milner is a state senator and the former president of Weber State University. She'd like to share a few thoughts.
You can tell who's in charge. Thank you all very much. The Merit experience for me has been remarkable. We have an incredible board of 10 people who bring various viewpoints, different skill sets, But what they're there for is to support the company, the senior leadership team, and the shareholders. And they never lose sight of that. And they're willing to come together and to argue in the best of ways, but at the end of the day, to come together on what's best for Merit Medical as a company. I am proud to be part of the board of Merit Medical.
And finally, we have Lynn Ward. Lynn is the former Deputy Director of Budget for the state of Utah. She's been the one most responsible for our involvement in NACD. By the way, we have 4 women on a board of 10. We hope to have that at 50% in the very near future, and it's very diverse amongst many, many areas. So with that being said, Lynn, you now have the microphone.
I don't think all of this was on the agenda, right? Yeah, thank you so much for the honor. A pitch for Utah NACD and NACD as a whole. They put on really good programs and helpful to people who are planning to become board members or would like to be, and as well as supporting current board members. And I'd also like to thank Utah Business. The magazine has a history of showcasing Utah companies and Utah efforts in our community, our economic development, and I think it's a really great magazine, and thank you to them. As far as the Merit Medical Board goes, I did leave the Utah 529 plan almost 4 years ago. If you're not saving for college yet, please look it up. It's my529.org. It's a state program, so I don't get a commission. I didn't get a commission back then. But when people ask me what I'm doing and I tell them I'm on the Merit Medical Board, it's a really rewarding experience to help the company grow and expand. And when they say, "Oh, you're retired," no, it's a serious activity because we're trying to look out for the shareholders and the employees. So thank you very much.
There are so many examples of the board of the YWCA working closely with leadership at YWCA Utah to navigate really complex situations. The Y provides an incredible resource to our community, one of the oldest, I believe the oldest and longest serving shelter for individuals fleeing domestic violence in our state. And that can come with its challenges.
As a nonprofit, of course, we are supposed to have a nonprofit board to help in overseeing our fiduciary and legal responsibilities. And that's a criteria that any nonprofit organization is going to have. But what's really interesting and what's really exciting about that governance piece is that you actually get to access this incredible insight and experiences from all across the community, because an organization has their staff, and our staff at the YWCA are absolutely incredible, and they bring a commitment to the mission and to the organization. And what we get to do as board members is we get to bring in outside perspectives and inputs that hopefully continue to facilitate that work and move it forward.
So diversity is really at the heart of the work of the YWCA. Our mission is empowering women and eliminating racism. That's right in the work that we do. So it is certainly a part of my experience. When I look around the table, I see people from incredibly diverse backgrounds. And that really has been something that's marked a lot of my experience on boards around the valley. And I have to say,
it makes organizations stronger. And for us, our challenge is constantly embodying that mission and making sure we understand that we're thinking about diversity in all these different ways, and that diversity is represented on our board because it's our responsibility. Not only is it our responsibility, it's something we want to do. We want to be meaningfully connected to the community that we're hoping to serve and hoping to help.
Congratulations to the YWCA board. Please give a warm welcome to the CEO of YWCA, Liz Owens, and board chair, Shauna Kwan, with the YWCA board.
Hello, good afternoon. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much to the Utah Business Magazine and especially to the NACD Selection Committee. It is an incredibly kind and thoughtful honor. This award celebrates really what's a remarkable organization. The YWCA Utah, and you heard in our video, our commitment is to eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. And the way that we do that is by having the state's largest on-site shelter to serve survivors of domestic violence. And so at any night, we have about 200 heads that come and stay with us, women, children, families, and it really is a mission of heart, it's an organization of soul, and it is something that serves our community in such a deep way. And so in a way, it's so wonderful to be honored as a board, but because our board is comprised of members who are truly exceptional and remarkable, but we also get to serve a truly exceptional and remarkable organization in what we get to do. And it's been a constantly evolving challenge, and our board is constantly evolving and growing to that challenge. And I think you heard from a lot of our other honorees, it's that diversity of thought. It's always thinking about what comes next. And in a community that we serve, that means everything. That means housing, that means legal services, that means financial services. And so as a board, we're constantly striving to reflect that community and make sure that how we represent ensures that we can represent the needs of that community. And it's a critical reminder our work is never done. Utah is continuing to grow and change, and we hope that we get to continue and change alongside it. So I'm deeply grateful for this award. I'm deeply grateful to be able to represent our whole board. We are an all-female board of 18 members who come from all sectors across the state, and it's really just a wonderful opportunity when we can come together, share ideas, think, collaborate, and challenge each other. So I look forward to our continued journey of learning together and growing together, innovating and creating. Thank you so much.
One of the things that I wish I knew at the time I joined my first board that I know now is the amount of preparation that is required in order to do an effective job as a director. Our obligation is to represent the shareholders, and to do that, it really does require a significant commitment of time and effort. And I wish I had understood that I was signing up for that effort at the time I first became a board member. My experience is that good corporate governance can have a real positive impact on the performance of a company, and it comes in different ways. Maybe one of the easiest ways to understand it is how succession planning works. So companies that have an effective succession planning process not only know who the bench is and kind of how many years before a person might be ready for a particular job, but we'll have an active understanding of what the development plans are for the key senior executives and how those development plans are actually leading them to be prepared for the role that they're going to potentially eventually assume. Having that in place with the management team allows for kind of a seamless process at the time that there is a leadership change that takes place in a company. And the boards that have a balanced board of people that have different backgrounds, different experiences, different life experiences, have the kind of diversity that contributes to the richness of the conversation, tend to be the kinds of people that I would look to add to a board.
Our final honoree and Lifetime Achievement Award winner, please give a warm welcome to Gary Crittenden, Executive Director of HGGC.
Well, it really is a treat to be here today. I very much appreciate all of you coming, and particularly I appreciate the fact that NACD does this. There are champions in our state for good governance, and certainly governance has come a long way over time. And the thing that I like about Utah Business Magazine is I read stories there that I can't read anywhere else. I just feel so fortunate that we have that little window on what's happening in the state through their good work. So many, many thanks to you all and for all that you have done to make this possible for us. It really is a bit of a coincidence that I know so many of the other honorees. As Heather mentioned, she and I worked together on a board, Erin Sconard's wonderful company, Pluralsight. She had far too many board meetings where she was educating me about how social media works. It was a long, slow process for her. Ryan Sanders mentioned that we've been lifelong friends. So his mom and I were actually, this tells you how old I am, but his mom and I were actually student body officers at Ogden High School many, many years ago, and a long time back in Ogden, Utah. So, and I have worked with Ryan mostly moving my daughter. When she lived in Texas and he lived in Texas, we did the same moves together pretty often. And then finally, I'll say about Lew Cramer. So a lot of people confuse Lew and I. They think we look a lot alike. It makes me feel really sorry for Lew. He's actually delighted, but makes me feel really sorry for him. So anyway, it's wonderful that they have this opportunity. So much of what we do on corporate boards revolves around having good governance, and there's obviously a big conversation taking place about that in many different venues right now. One of the things I just thought I'd mention briefly is how far it really has come over the last kind of 30 years or so. The first board that I was on a company called Filene's Basement, which was a small $600 million in revenue retailer headquartered in Boston, Massachusetts. Any of you that have spent any time in Boston would know the company. I was the newly minted CFO and a member of the board, and I had actually never been a CFO before. I'd had this particular job and certainly not CFO of a public company. And we were opening a brand new store in Manhattan on Broadway, 96th and Broadway. And we'd all gone down for this, and we had just become a public company maybe 6 months before. And this was before there were amazing public companies that people, admired and thought were wonderful. And so we actually got quite a bit of press at the time we went public. And in the second quarter, after we were a public company, I was being interviewed by a guy from Goldman Sachs who was a sell-side analyst, asking me questions about how the company was doing. And as he got to the end, he said, and oh, by the way, do you think you guys are going to print something like 81 cents per share in the first quarter? And I thought to myself, well, we've just finished the budget, and the budget said 81 cents. So without discussing it with anybody, I said, yeah, I think we'll do 81 cents in the first quarter. And needless to say, it made the headlines the next day in the Wall Street Journal that said, guidance for Filene's Basement given in interview with sell-side analyst. So I think as a group, we've come a long way around governance and the way things operate today. Needless to say, that wouldn't happen. So I have the amazing honor of working with some really terrific companies today. And let me just briefly tell you one or two quick things about them that I very much appreciate. So the team from Albion is here. I don't know how many of you know Albion. They're one of the best RIAs, certainly in the state of Utah and nationally. A great team. I was telling somebody earlier today that John Bird and his team keep the Crittenden family from making stupid emotional decisions like investing 3/4 of our assets in a company like NVIDIA, only to watch semiconductors sell off over the last little while. Thank you, John and Jason and team there. I also have the good pleasure of being part of the board of Beauty Industry Group. What an amazing company, a Utah company. The first time I met the founders, Derek and Logan, it was in a small little garage over here on 2nd South and something West. And in that kind of intervening 15 years or so, the company has grown from $5 or $6 million a year in revenue to this year well over $400 million in revenue. A wonderful Utah-based company that has done extraordinarily well. I also have the pleasure of being part of Extra Space Storage. I think many of you know Extra Space is the largest public company in the state of Utah. What you may not know is that they're also now, with the conclusion of the acquisition of Life Storage, the largest storage facility, largest public storage facility in the country. And that does include public storage, by the way, so we're glad to be in a position like that as a company. I have two of my colleagues from Primerica that are here today who flew all the way out from Atlanta, wonderful people that I have a great blessing of working with. Primerica, you may not know, but in this last quarter, Primerica actually will have had face value of life insurance in force of nearly $1 trillion, $944 billion, and $100 billion in asset under management. And then finally, I am blessed to be part of the Zions board and learn so much from my association there. I thought something that you might not know that actually just came out. This now relates to a survey that's done of banks across the country, and they rate various aspects of those financial institutions. Zion came out as number 3 in the list of all of those banks, and we're number 1 in the bank you can trust, number 1 in the bank that values long-term relationships, number 1 in providing digital capabilities, and they had the number 1 net promoter score of 52. I feel like when I have the chance of serving on boards like this, that I'm benefiting by driving across a bridge that I didn't build. I feel like I'm benefiting by the many efforts that have taken place over years to build these wonderful institutions that provide employment for so many people. The amazing thing about this economy that we live in here is that it matches capital with the wonderful insights that people have about needs that people have in the marketplace. And the genius of that system has never been beat anywhere in the world. And I hope we have the opportunity to have our best days ahead as it relates to that. Thank you very much.
Thanks to all of you for being here with us to celebrate these inspiring honorees. To our honorees, thank you for the work you have done to elevate companies and causes in our state. You represent the best of us, and we're grateful for your service. Now, please welcome back Burke Olson, publisher of Utah Business.
We've been well served by the remarks that we've heard today. Thank you so much. Just a few final notes as we wrap up and get you back to your important work. First of all, your parking is paid for, and you should have received a voucher as you checked in. If you didn't, make sure you grab one on your way out the door. For comprehensive and timely updates about upcoming Utah business events, as well as local business news, please subscribe to our daily email newsletter by scanning the QR code on your table. Additionally, and as always at one of our events, as an attendee today, we want to give you a complimentary one-year subscription to Utah Business Magazine. Thank you to Gary for the great endorsement of the reporting that we do that you can't find anywhere else. So the subscription registration is included again in the QR code on your table. The videos of our honorees, along with the entire event, will be posted to the Utah Business YouTube channel and also in our online article later today. You're welcome to share these with family and friends and coworkers as you see fit. We'd love to see you share your celebratory social media posts also, and make sure you tag Utah Business on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We like to gather the name tags so that we can recycle them, so you can leave them at your table or leave them at the check-in table on your way out the door. That concludes our event for today. Thank you for coming, and congratulations again to the 2024 Outstanding Directors.